Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. The owners decided to move and to close the factory. Come to a close. The concert closed with a nocturne by Chopin. Not far distant in time or space or degree or circumstances. She was close to tears. Of textiles. A close weave. Marked by fidelity to an original. A close translation. Fill or stop up. Can you close the cracks with caulking? Inclined to secrecy or reticence about divulging information. Although they knew her whereabouts, her friends kept close about it. Near in time or place or relationship. The bullet didn't come close. Move so that an opening or passage is obstructed. Make shut. In an attentive manner. He remained close on his guard. Lacking fresh air. The dreadfully close atmosphere. The last section of a communication. The temporal end, the concluding time. They were playing better at the close of the season. Come together, as if in an embrace. Her arms closed around her long-lost relative. The concluding part of any performance. Become closed. The windows closed with a loud bang. Crowded. Close quarters. Unite or bring into contact or bring together the edges of. Close the circuit. Giving or spending with reluctance. Very close, or near, with his money. Of a contest or contestants, evenly matched. A close contest. Fitting closely but comfortably. A close fit. At or within a short distance in space or time or having elements near each other. Close to noon. Bar access to. Due to the accident, the road had to be closed for several hours. Be priced or listed when trading stops. The stock market closed high this Friday. Bring together all the elements or parts of. Management closed ranks. Cause a window or an application to disappear on a computer desktop. Change one's body stance so that the forward shoulder and foot are closer to the intended point of impact. Close in relevance or relationship. A close family. Complete a business deal, negotiation, or an agreement. We closed on the house on Friday. Confined to specific persons. A close secret. Draw near. The probe closed with the space station. Engage at close quarters. Close with the enemy. Finish a game in baseball by protecting a lead. The relief pitcher closed with 2 runs in the second inning. Finish or terminate, meetings, speeches, etc. The meeting was closed with a charge by the chairman of the board. Rigorously attentive, strict and thorough. Close supervision. Strictly confined or guarded. Kept under close custody. Used of hair or haircuts. A close military haircut. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. Close up the shop. Refuse to talk or stop talking. Fall silent. Block passage through. Very close. Without my reading glasses I can hardly see things close up. Unite or bring into contact or bring together the edges of. Close up an umbrella. A folded part, as in skin or muscle. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. An angular or rounded shape made by folding. A fold in the napkin. A group of sheep or goats. Confine in a fold, like sheep. Bend or lay so that one part covers the other. Fold up the newspaper. Become folded or folded up. The bed folds in a jiffy. The act of folding. He gave the napkins a double fold. A group of people who adhere to a common faith and habitually attend a given church. A geological process that causes a bend in a stratum of rock. A pen for sheep. Incorporate a food ingredient into a mixture by repeatedly turning it over without stirring or beating. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. Come to a close. Reach a conclusion after a discussion or deliberation. Decide by reasoning. Draw or come to a conclusion. Bring to a close. The committee concluded the meeting. Reach agreement on. They concluded an economic agreement. With or in a close or intimate relationship. My sisters and brothers are near and dear. Not far distant in time or space or degree or circumstances. Near neighbors. Near in time or place or relationship. As the wedding day drew near. Move towards. They are drawing near. Of actions or states, slightly short of or not quite accomplished, all but. He nearly fainted. Being on the left side. The near or nigh horse is the one on the left. Very close in resemblance. A near likeness. Giving or spending with reluctance. Very close, or near, with his money. Closely resembling the genuine article. Near beer. Not far distant in time or space or degree or circumstances. Near in time or place or relationship. The end draws nigh. Of actions or states, slightly short of or not quite accomplished, all but. Talked for nigh on to 2 hours. Being on the left side. The near or nigh horse is the one on the left. Very drunk. Of textiles. Smooth percale with a very tight weave. Used of persons or behavior, characterized by or indicative of lack of generosity. Demanding strict attention to rules and procedures. Tight security. In an attentive manner. Pressed tightly together. Firmly or closely. Held tight. Pulled or drawn tight. A tight drumhead. Exasperatingly difficult to handle or circumvent. A good man to have on your side in a tight situation. Of a contest or contestants, evenly matched. A tight game. Affected by scarcity and expensive to borrow. Tight money. Closely constrained or constricted or constricting. Tight skirts. Of such close construction as to be impermeable. A tight roof. Packed closely together. They stood in a tight little group. Securely or solidly fixed in place, rigid. The bolts are tight. Set so close together as to be invulnerable to penetration. In tight formation. Marked by fidelity to an original. A faithful copy of the portrait. A group of people who adhere to a common faith and habitually attend a given church. Any loyal and steadfast following. Not having sexual relations with anyone except your husband or wife, or your boyfriend or girlfriend. He remained faithful to his wife. Steadfast in affection or allegiance. Years of faithful service. Make full, also in a metaphorical sense. Fill or stop up. Become full. Eat until one is sated. Inclined to secrecy or reticence about divulging information. 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 Move so that an opening or passage is obstructed. Make shut. Shut the window. Prevent from entering. Shut out. The trees were shutting out all sunlight. Used especially of mouth or eyes. His eyes were shut against the sunlight. Not open. The door slammed shut. Become closed. In a close manner. In an attentive manner. In a close relation or position in time or space. The onsets were closely timed. Lacking fresh air. A dusty, airless attic. Excessively conventional and unimaginative and hence dull. Lacking fresh air. Hot and stuffy and the air was blue with smoke. Affected with a sensation of stoppage or obstruction. A stuffy feeling in my chest. Lacking fresh air. Approaching a particular destination. A coming closer. A narrowing of a gap. The ship's rapid rate of closing gave them little time to avoid a collision. The last section of a communication. Termination of operations. The act of closing something. A concluding action. Final or ending. The closing stages of the election. Event whose occurrence ends something. The proposition arrived at by logical reasoning, such as the proposition that must follow from the major and minor premises of a syllogism. The act of making up your mind about something. He drew his conclusions quickly. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. His conclusion took the evidence into account. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. In conclusion, I want to say. The temporal end. The concluding time. A final settlement. The conclusion of a business deal. An intuitive assumption. Jump to a conclusion. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold on to the pass. One of two places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a three-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. The closing section of a musical composition. The temporal end, the concluding time. The concluding part of any performance. The temporal end, the concluding time. The market was up at the finish. The concluding part of any performance. A decorative texture or appearance of a surface, or the substance that gives it that appearance. The boat had a metallic finish. Event whose occurrence ends something. When these final episodes are broadcast, it will be the finish of the show. Finish eating all the food on one's plate or on the table. Finally, be or do something. The temporal end, the concluding time. The market was up at the finish. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. Almost an inspiration which gives to all work that finish which is almost art. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. The act of finishing. His best finish in a major tournament was third. Come or bring to a finish or an end. He finished the dishes. The place designated as the end, as of a race or journey. A crowd assembled at the finish. because to finish a relationship with somebody. That finished me with Mary. Designated event that concludes a contest, especially a race. Excitement grew as the finish neared. Provide with a finish. The carpenter finished the table beautifully. The downfall of someone, as of persons on one side of a conflict. Booze will be the finish of him. Wine tasting. The taste of a wine on the back of the tongue, as it is swallowed. The wine has a nutty flavor and a pleasant finish. Persist for a specified period of time. The bad weather lasted for 3 days. The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. A struggle to the last. The item at the end. Last, I'll discuss family values. Not to be altered or undone. The arbiter will have the last say. Holding device shaped like a human foot that is used to fashion or repair shoes. The temporal end, the concluding time. Continue to live and avoid dying. How long can a person last without food and water? Occurring at or forming an end or termination. The last days of the dinosaurs. Conclusive in a process or progression. A last resort. Highest in extent or degree. To the last measure of human endurance. Lowest in rank or importance. Last prize. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. I had to miss the last of the movie. A person's dying act, the final thing a person can do. He breathed his last. A unit of capacity for grain equal to 80 bushels. A unit of weight equal to 4,000 pounds. Coming after all others in time or space or degree or being the only one remaining. The last time I saw Paris. Immediately past. Last Thursday. Most unlikely or unsuitable. The last person we would have suspected. Occurring at the time of death. His last words. The last or lowest in an ordering or series. He was the last to leave. The temporal end, the concluding time. The stopping point of each round was signaled by a bell. Come together, as if in an embrace. The concluding part of any performance.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.